Dude, I'm like pale as shit.
For centuries, womankind has asked itself the same question over and over again. What is cyberpunk? Is it all those early 90s Olivier Gruner direct-to-video movies? Is it video games with a future year in the title? Is it the Billy Idol record that came with the screensaver? If you answered yes to all three, I don't give a shit, because here at Skunk Hollow Chop Shop, cyberpunk is whatever I say it is. You had your chance. You blew it.
Hiya. So this series is going to be mostly a lot of cyberpunk focused stuff, but like 10% kind of ironic because if I take myself too seriously, shit's going to get real sad real quick. And speaking of sad, this won't be as cringy as the last video. Aside from the fact that I shot the footage 3 months ago and I was really drunk on Jim Beam and I did the VOs that way too. Um, anyway, first up, I'm taking a look at Outrun 2019, aka Junkers High, aka Cyber Road. No matter what you call it, you're still running on out in the future.
Outrun 2019 is one of the Outrun spin-offs sourced to a company outside Sega, in this case Sims. They also did the lovely Alien Syndrome port/sequel for the Game Gear, and they made Air Rescue for the Master System, which I'm tempted to try because I grew up with Sid Meier's Air Rescue 1 on the Commodore, and I'm curious if they're similar at all. Every time I mention this game, I make the same joke about how I'm excited to see if this is how 2019 will actually look. So there's this name entry thing in the beginning, which is kind of pointless because it doesn't really save your name and the game doesn't have a battery. I think it does in the Japanese version, but whatever. Now from the get-go, it's kind of obvious that Outrun isn't really like standard Outrun, but what's cool is this turbo gauge, where once you speed up your speedometer all the way, it fills up light, and then once that's full, you go into turbo mode. That opening tunnel kind of shows it off from the beginning, and I was kind of already hooked from my first play of this. And to further, run home the whole is this cyberpunk thing, the original name of this game was Cyber Road. I guess they were doing it for the Sega CD, and then they changed the name to Junkers High, which I don't know if that's a drug thing or a high school thing. Somebody somewhere online, and I can't be bothered to remember because I drink, said this game was quote-unquote depressing, and I don't really get that. I mean, I understand that the point of the first Outrun is that it was a driving, not racing game, and it was kind of about the whole you're in a convertible with your girl and blah 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 thing. But this is just cool. Like, can't you just like something because it's cool? Like, come on, calm your shit. Stage 3 is my favorite because it's this ridiculous orgy of color and mismatched biomes. Anyway, you start out somewhere vaguely Mediterranean and incongruous, then eventually you speed on into what looks like Transylvania, or as I call it, Ulvania. Suddenly you're in Scandinavia or whatever, and this shit looks dope too. The fourth stage starts out again in what looks like an ad for Pizza Hut's Priazzo, then it plops you right in front of the Great Wall of China. The end credits just say fuck it and set you in space. Not only that, but the later stages have way more opportunities to fucking send it. At some point, I'm ricocheting off the traffic lights to keep from falling in the water. That's bonkers. I can only imagine what this would have been like if they'd used proper superscalar tech, or even if M2 had made a 3D version for the 3DS like they did with the regular Outrun. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see if this is what 2019 actually looks like. I don't know. This is just, cool. It's fun, it's stupid, it's stupidly fun. I don't really know what else you're trying to get out of me. Why am I making this? Nobody knows.
Inexplicably, Outrun 2019 was released as one of those composite out plug and play things. No one knows why they picked 2019, but the general consensus on the internet has to do with the licensing of the vehicle and the regular Outrun, and people really get fucking wigged out about the vehicle and Outrun. I don't know what that's about. The next game I'm going to be covering today is Fatal Rewind, aka The Killing Game Show. I'm pretty sure the footage is going to say that too, and it's going to end abruptly.
I'm wearing a Hot Topic tank top that's old enough to drive a car. Today we're going to do Fatal Rewind. Originally this was called The Killing Game Show. It's inspired by The Running Man and the RoboCop and a bunch of other stuff, and it's got its own like little quickly body horror moment thing. A lot of the stuff was cut out of the manual, but what you are is some sort of resistance fighter who's been captured, and most of your skin has been sandblasted off. You've been lopped in half at the waist, and you sort of get turned into this ED-209 thingy. And you can tell this is definitely like a Running Man kind of vibe. Is this cyberpunk? It's in the future. It rips off the Running Man. There's body horror. I think that qualifies. Also, that title screen is a little lacking. Anywho, like I said, I was under the impression I wouldn't like this, but I thought I'd give it a shot. And the very first time I played, I was just laughing giddily. So that's your, whatchamacallit character, your sort of, your half-dead humanish body. What's going on the whole time is there is a water rising up toward you, and almost every review of this game says, "Oh, it's a shame they don't have the water effects of the Amiga." This is not an Amiga, so chill out. So the thing about this that's kind of charming is there's a sense of like shoot 'em up going on because of the formations of the enemies, and that's like super endearing. There is an intro cinematic that is only in the Japanese version of this, and I didn't feel like paying that much for this. It's in the Amiga version. The Japanese one is kind of funny though because it's dead silent, and I'm assuming they didn't want their game opening up with dead silence in America because Americans are a lot more fickle about stupid shit. But I'll link to the videos in the description here. This was developed by Martin Chudley under the name Raising Hell Software. They eventually became Bizarre Creations, and they were more known for stuff like Project Gotham Racing. There's a timer in the upper right that tells you how long you have until the water starts rising. You want to pay attention to that because you actually have a little bit of leeway to collect items on the bottom floor or bottom platform? I mean, it's not really like a floor. There are all sorts of foolish creative acronyms in the manual about the rising water and what the names of the characters are, and I cannot be bothered. I just want the gore. Please just give me all the gore. You know what's funny? I watched Body Melt when I was having lunch recently, and it didn't make me sick at all. So, this is where the name Fatal Rewind comes into play. When you die, there are no checkpoints. You can hold A to fast forward through what you were doing. Shabby. This is called the Minesweeper because the idea is it's thick enough to overlap with the platform you're standing on. Wood. And blow up any mines. The Japanese ROM is twice the size of the European and rest of the world ROMs to accommodate for that weird opening cinematic thing.
So in the interest of actually talking about the fucking game, the soundtrack is just kind of pleasant. I'm sure there are people in the UK, probably like Amiga diehards, who are really, really into it. The one thing that pisses me off about this game is it tends to spawn enemies like right on top of you, and if you walk over that same section again, they'll come back again and again, and it's not a matter of like, oh, I didn't learn this. It's just that's kind of how it's done by design. Because you'll notice, like, the first minute of every stage is super convoluted, and you're like, trying like hell to get away from the lava, or whatever the fuck it's called in the manual. And everything, like, loops horizontally, so that's kind of confusing. Just because an item is useless doesn't mean it's useless. You can actually store keys there, because there's going to be a lot of places where you're going to have to backtrack and leave a key behind, and then get the key again, and blah-de-blah-de-blah. Maybe a sequel could have ironed some things out. maybe it should have been a Super NES game in another life, because then you could actually have like some maps in Nintendo Power or something. No one's really mapped this game online, as far as I know. Not even like the small, mighty Amiga crowd. Anyway, that's all for this episode. I don't know what's going to be next, but as always, none of this would be possible without my patrons. Give yourselves a hand.
Why would you do this? Look at this. No one wants you to do this. Where's the game go? Where's the manual go? Under no circumstances should that be. Ow!